Hi, I bought a cottage in Sweden. And in this video I want to tell you why I made such a radical decision to do that. So as some of you might know, just over a year ago my 5-year-old granddaughter died tragically and completely unexpectedly, and as you can imagine, that does definitely change the way you view the world, and you ask yourself some pretty hard questions within that. I had a family, extended family member who suddenly was diagnosed with a really horrible form of cancer and left us within 6 months. And as I'm talking now, there's another family member facing exactly that same battle. And for me, that's made me really think deeply, because there's so many times in our lives you think about when I retire, when this happens. And I think for me, I've always felt that I'm living in the moment, but then when I actually did some really hard asking myself those questions, I really found that actually that perhaps wasn't as true as I wanted it to be or felt it might be. So let me tell you a bit about myself. I've always been thinking about my retirement. I didn't want to be short of a bob or two when I retired, so I've put money away for my retirement. Financially, this is not the most sensible move. But the things that have been happening in my life have made me stop and question things. And so I've been taking a very different viewpoint. I guess I framed it in a different way. I've thought about who is it that I want to be remembered as. And so for me, one of the key things in my life is obviously my kids and my grandkids. And what's been so helpful for me is trying to think, who is it that I want to be for my grandchildren? What is the legacy that I want to leave them? And that's been really challenging for me, because one of the legacies I've always wanted to leave them is a legacy of me being a joy-loving person. And actually one of the biggest challenges for me in this last year is that joy has just not been there, and it's been really hard to find moments or create moments of joy, which I don't think I found the case before we lost my granddaughter. So part of me is like, okay, how do we start create moments of joy and times as a family, and how do we do that? And for me, this has been the answer. So here's what I did in order to help me make this courageous move. It has been a courageous move for me. It's caused a lot of anxiety, but I really pushed through that in order to get to this end, because this end has been worth everything that was challenging in the process. I thought about who in 5 years' time do I want to be, and I kind of stood myself in a perspective of being 5 years from now and looking back. And I asked myself, the person that I see in 5 years' time, in 5 years' time, is this something you'll have wanted to do, or will you regret not having done it? And that was a really easy question, because I knew that if in 5 years' time I wanted to be the person who'd been kick-ass enough to buy a little cottage in Sweden that we could all run to as a retreat and try out new things and maybe do a bit of self-sufficiency stuff, because it's basically off-grid, but it does have electric. And I knew I wanted to be that person. What that meant for me is that I had to push through the anxiety and all the unknowns and the Swedish contracts and the not knowing. Right now, I am so chuffed with the decision I made. You can see this is such a beautiful environment. I've got the flowers, growing, and there's just such peace and quiet, and it's been such a lovely time. Just come away for a few days here with a friend, and it's just been such a time of just refreshing. And we've got just in that direction there's a lovely lake. It's about 800 meters walk, so it takes about 15 minutes, and we can just walk there, and it's just lovely and peaceful. And so I am so happy that I have made this decision. So I think there's many reasons why I've done this. One is we've got like half an acre here and a house for 20 grand. That is amazing. And we've got space and peace and quiet and a place to come to. We've got a place to create new and positive, fabulous family memories together. We've got a place to try out new things, maybe have some chickens, maybe grow some vegetables on this space, and plenty of space for the kids to run around as well. We've got opportunities to spend time and explore somewhere new and beautiful and clean and fabulous. But I think most of all for me is to create new and fabulous memories together as a family and have that retreat when life gets too much, and so many of us now are struggling with our mental health, that somewhere you can just go, okay, time for reset. Because also most of the time this doesn't have internet access, so you've got no notifications popping up on your phone that draw you away from anything, and in the morning you can't sit there on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is and waste half an hour, surely that's not just me, doing something that has no value to your life. But actually, this morning I just lay in bed and I just opened the windows, and all I could see outside was green, and I could just listen to all the sounds of nature around me. There's some birds just nesting in one of these, not this one, but the opposite eaves of the house, and just listen to that sound, and it's been absolutely fabulous. So I just wanted to share that, because I think there's a lie in our society that says doing stuff like this is easy, and I think, for me it's taken a huge amount of courage, and I've been investing in my retirement for many years, but in this one I wanted to invest in happiness, in joy, in precious memories. I believe that in 5 years' time, if I'm still here in 5 years' time, I will look back and say this was a really good decision to make. I'm not guaranteed another 5 years. I'm not guaranteed another 5 weeks or another 5 days even. And I don't know what life will hold, but what I want is, I want to set an example. I want to be someone where my kids and my grandkids say, I can make courageous decisions because I saw my mum doing it or my gran doing it, and it wasn't easy for her, but she did it and she pushed through. So that's the example I want to be. And as my family will tell you, it's really not been easy, and there have been times when I'm just like, it would have been so easy to go, nope, backing out of this, don't want to do it, too hard. But I've just been seeing that vision of me 5 years in the future of going, this was a great decision, and we've built this place and we've done whatever we do with it, and to be honest, I love it just as it is, so we don't do anything with it, perfectly fine. But I believe that this is a great decision for our future. I want to encourage you as well. If there's something that you're like, I really would like to do that, but I'm not courageous enough, try and do that thing that I did, which I found so helpful, of stand yourself and talk to yourself 5 years in the future and say, is this something you'll have want to done? Because actually, standing here at this moment, before I was doing this, I was like, I'm not sure. But when I stood and talked to myself 5 years in the future, the answer was unequivocal. Yes, I really want to have done that. I want to have taken that brave step. If you've got something that you are thinking, oh, I'd love to do that, I just don't have the courage. For me, I found a couple of people that I knew would be behind me, and actually, unusually for me, I didn't tell everybody about this exciting thing until it was done, because it was taking so much emotional energy just for me to push through. I couldn't bear the thought of having one or two negatives coming in, or even somebody just voicing back to me like, this doesn't make financial sense, which I already knew. So find a couple of people who are your yes, come on, you can do it people, and confide in them. Get those cheer people on your cheer team, and do things that you know that you won't regret doing in your life. So I hope that's been interesting for you. If you've enjoyed it, please do like and subscribe, because there'll be more videos coming from Sweden. And thanks for watching. Actual truth is, sorry, Mozzie on me, that happened in my life. Stop me talking, rambling. I'm rambling. Yes, I want to be eaten alive by mosquitoes in Sweden. So from... Stop it.